Hello guys, so today I have two really nice attacking games. We'll start with this one. I had the white pieces and I went for the Jobava London. My opponent played c6 and e6. When they go for this setup, usually they are trying to be very solid. And here I mix up my line. The best move is a3, but I only remember the main plan, which is g4 and h4 to try and go after the king. He played bishop e7 and I planned my knight in the center. He castles and this is exactly what I was waiting for. I play g5, I play g4, and here my opponent makes a mistake. He plays h6, and usually when you are being attacked, you don't want to touch the pawns in front of your king. This creates a hook which I try to exploit by h5. Already I'm threatening g5, and if you take, your king is going to be open. He plants his knight in the center, but I take, you take, and I go for g5. Here if you take, I'll take, and queen h5 will be game over soon. So he moves his king and I take, and here I thought that if he took back, I have queen h5. So back here he pushes his pawn to try and keep things closed up, and now I went for bishop g2. My idea was that after I take this, I push h5. I have to note that I want to also push h5 in this position, but then he has this move trying to keep things closed up. He took the pawn and I took his pawn as well. Now he's trying to trade off my my dark square bishop. I play queen g4, putting a lot of pressure on his bishop, and here he took the bishop, and here I found a really nice move. I sacrificed the bishop. My idea was if you take here, then I have check, you have to go back, and this is checkmate. He didn't fall for that. He moved his king backwards, and here I was really focused on the king. My eyes were fixed on this side of the board. I didn't see anything else. So here I at first I thought of playing knight takes f7, which looks really nice because if you take, I take, I'm threatening mate, and the bishop is also hanging. And then I saw another move, which is bishop takes f7, and I thought that this was a lot better, which is not. It's a bit worse, but white is still doing okay. And I thought I would be threatening queen g7 checkmate. I completely missed my opponent's response, which is bishop takes knight, and the bishop covers the g7 square, so there is no mate, and I thought I was completely lost after this position, which the evil bar says I'm completely winning. So in this position, the engine wanted castles, threatening takes. I didn't find that move. I moved my bishop because I thought that if I trade, we would be getting more pieces of the board, and there was no way I could mate him. He moved the bishop to f6 and I castled, and then he brought his queen closer to the king. I brought my rook one more piece in the attack. It develops the knight, and I went back. Here I was still thinking I'm completely lost, but as you can see from the evil bar, now I have a winning position, and I had one trick which I tried to pull off. He plays e5, and here the engine says mate in 5, but that was really tough to see. The winning move here is queen g7. The point being, if you check with the bishop, it's a double check with the pawn and the rook, and after the king moves, first I give check. It doesn't matter what you do, eventually rook h8 will be mate. If you block, rook h8 for instance is mate. But back in this position, I missed that. When I played rook g8, my idea was to put the queen and the bishop on the same diagonal to try and deliver mate. After something like rook g7, my opponent took, and here I thought I was completely lost, so I thought I would try this anyway. I played rook g7, and my idea was if you take, it's mate in 1, and if you take with the queen, obviously I'll win this eventually. In fact, here it's also mate in 1, but back in this position there's a more efficient way to do it. You take the queen and after take back, now you take the rook, and I just have nothing. I played one more move and then I resigned. This one was played on the chess, and I started with the same opening, and here my opponent went for c5, which is one of main lines, and I took back, plays a6. This is to stop knight b5 and knight c7. I developed the knight and he pinned my bishop. I believe this line I also covered in YouTube video I made. I'll make sure to put it in the description if it's something you want to take a look at. I played h3. I took back, and he plays e6, preparing to develop his dark square bishop and castle. I played g4, and he developed the knight. I castled long, and he develops the dark square bishop. And I play king b1. This is always a useful move. He puts his rook on the c5, highlighting that he wants to get some attack going. And I played g5. He moved the knight back, which seemed a little weird in the beginning because on the next move you are not going to be able to castle. I played h4, and now he puts the knight to e7. In the game, this move, dropping the knight back, only made sense after he puts his knight on e7. Now I go for h5. I'm discouraging him to castle long. He took the bishop, I took, and he offers a queen trade. I put my queen on a3, and immediately I saw that my opponent has knight a5 attacking my queen. I couldn't really see a good square for my queen. I was thinking that queen a1 with the idea that if you take with this knight I would grab a pawn, but the issue was like in this position you can take with this knight, and now I can't really take this pawn, trying to exploit the pin because he has queen takes c2 and I was going to be lost. I wasn't sure what I was going to play against knight f5, but my opponent played b5 with the idea to go for b4, or maybe plant the knight on c5, which would be really nice. I stopped the knight f5 idea. My opponent attacked the knight, and I believe this was a slight inaccuracy from him because now I have knight a4 with the idea to put the knight on c5, and now your queen and rook are going to be staring at my knight. He took the pawn, which at first I thought he couldn't take because after take, queen takes c2, king a1. I thought that his idea was to try and mate me on the back ring, but obviously I've got two pieces, completely missing that my knight was hanging. So I took the g7 pawn. I played rook g8, and I played queen f6. I played queen f6. What I was hoping for in this position was some g6 somehow at the right moment, probably to try and make him take with the f pawn so that I can attack his e pawn, then his king will be a bit exposed. He played b3, hoping for mate, but obviously lost things down. And here he plays knight c6, and here I had a really nice move. I sacrifice the bishop, he takes, and I have to admit, after takes I thought he was supposed to move the king to one of his squares, then I would win one of the rooks, but I forgot that knights can move backwards. And after he moves this knight, I realized very quickly that here I have rook e1. Now I'm trying to take the knight. I'm also trying to take one of the rook because there will always be a pin because of this rook. And here my opponent blunders with queen d7. It only defends one rook and the knight, so I take the other rook. You can take my queen because of the pin, and the king can go anywhere, and this is checkmate.